This is Master Talks, and today, Mike Goulian. When you live in Boston, sports, hockey, all that stuff it's what we do, right? So I grew up as a kid. I was huge into hockey, played it all summer, all winter long for years and years on end. I seriously thought I was going to be like an NHL hockey player. Did your dad, I imagine, put you in the passenger seat and say, let's go for a flight, and you will go and you will
No,
do it? No,
you know, that's the funny thing is, flying was not even in my brain. So you'll find no pictures of me as a 4-year-old in an airplane. It's the weirdest thing. It wasn't until I was old enough to go to work and get a job, I started making $5 an hour, sweeping the floors for my dad, and then cleaning airplanes, and then, hey, you can change the oil, and hey, you can wash them, and you taxi them, and then I was like, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and just sort of fell in love with it. I tell people I started flying and I was just too dumb to stop, right? I don't know what else to do. As an athlete, I was like, oh, how do I take my hand-eye coordination and my athletic ability and do it in the sky? And I thought aerobatic competition was probably that. I would wash airplanes 5-6 days a week, get a paycheck, take it to the airport on the weekend, and I learned how to fly one lesson at a time. And my dad wouldn't pay for it. He wanted me to feel what it was like to try to earn that. And I think it's the best thing that's ever been given to me as a gift from my dad.
What about in the year 2000, when life changed for you? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's still hard for me to talk about. My dad was sick for a couple years, and without him knowing, my wife Karen and I, we went to his oncologist and said, hey, we're going to get married. And he knew what we meant. And he said, well, you could do it in the spring, but don't do it in August. And I said, okay, and little did I know at that point that he was like telling me that my dad was going to die, right? So it was a big deal. And Karen and I got married in May, and he died in September. So it was an interesting year. And then, you know, after he died, my dad and I always argued, like, who was running the business, right? He's like, you're in charge, right? Oh, okay, great, I'm in charge. So I would go to an aerobatic contest and come home, and on Monday morning, I come in and everything's different. And like, well, your dad said to do that. I'm like, yeah, but I'm running the show, not my dad. I walk into my dad's office, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, well, you weren't around, you were out flying airplanes while I was running the business, and blah, 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 right? And even though when my dad got real sick, I was running the business, he was still there. But then when he died, it was a huge dose of reality, because now all of a sudden I became an adult in 1 second. I don't think I really had enough respect for how hard the business was and how great my dad was at it until he was gone. My dad passed away almost 20 years ago, and I'm sure that he's looking down going, how did you pull this off, right? And I'm not sure I know how. My dad instilled in me, work harder than the next guy. If they're gonna work 40 hours, you work 41. If they're gonna work 100, you work 101. It's huge. And you know, now I'm struggling with, you know, I've been on the road a long time, and this is, I don't know, day number 12 or something that I've been gone. And this is one of the shorter ones, right? So my wife would like me home more. My daughter's becoming a teenager. And so you have to balance that all the time, right? And it's your love for it, and you forget. You might go a few weeks or a month or so in the wintertime without flying your airplane, and then you get back into it and you're like, now I remember why I'm doing this.